to this week's Cats Whiskers TV, a special alfresco edition. We're filming straight after the game against Luleå that has just taken place at the NIC. Both Paul, Aaron and myself will be talking that a little later. But first, some of your views from the Champions Hockey League over the weekend in the Cats Whiskers TV Fanzone.
Tonight's game I thought was a really entertaining game. Nice to see a different team with a different style of hockey. I thought Panthers coped really well with the Finnish team. I expected us to get absolutely routed tonight, so 4-2 I think was a really good and respectable score, and hopefully it will give the team a bit of confidence to go into the game on Sunday.
First game, amazing. Never been before. Scotty invited us. Best time of my life. What can I say? Never been into any sport. Just amazing. Cheering it on. Done. I loved it. Beer, sport, amazing.
I like the game very much, and people in arena was very nice. The atmosphere in arena was very great, because in Finland it's not same like in here arena. I liked it, and the game was a little bit poor, but Lukko wins, Finland wins, so we are fine with that. We like that, and that's all.
Pleasantly surprised by the result, a lot closer than I thought after 10 minutes. Didn't seem to offer much going forward, but it may have been the opposition. Some elementary defensive mistakes, don't matter who you're playing, you'll get punished with those. But promising and pleasantly surprised overall.
Well, it was good to come along to the game tonight. You know, I'm a Sheffield Steelers fan through and through. But to support Nottingham in the Champions Hockey League for me was important. I think it's important to see one of our teams doing very, very well in such a high level competition with a lot of attention from around the European community. Lukko were obviously a class above. Nottingham coming back in the second period was great for the fans, but they were obviously able to take to the next level and really kick into another gear to secure the win. But I think Nottingham fans have got a lot to be proud of. I think the players have been brought in, really dug into the brand, dug into the fan base, and they've got a lot to look forward to in the remaining 5 games. So it's not over yet, and best of luck to Nottingham for the rest of the games.
Hey, from the first period tonight, I thought Nottingham were pretty unlucky to go in 1 goal behind. Those 2 quite lucky goals from Luleå. The second period, Luleå opened up though and scored 6 unanswered goals, and I think that's shown the difference between the Swedish League and the British Elite League. Unfortunately, they also scored again in the third, taking to 10-1, and unfortunately, I don't think that was a fair reflection on the game. Luleå definitely deserved to win, but I don't think a 10-1 thrubbing for the Panthers was a fair result. So unlucky to the Panthers, but over the 2 games they've not disgraced themselves. Okay, the scoreline looks that they have tonight, but against Lukko on Friday night as well, they certainly put in a good performance. And the Bruce Graham line alongside Chris Higgins hopefully is okay, and Brendan Benedict. That looks like it's got legs for the season as well, so it looks promising for the Panthers for the Elite League season also.
Well, it was an excellent game. I really enjoyed it, but I think we were totally outclassed. They were a much better side, and I can't really judge how good the Panthers are going to be when the season starts. But wasn't a very good scoreline, obviously, but they tried their hardest, I'm sure of that. And I think we'll have a good season. I'm sure we will, really. But they were a really superior side today, and they didn't even look as though they were in top gear most of the time. And they really impressed me, and I was very, very pleased to watch them play their hockey.
Yeah, really enjoyed the game. Thought it was a good game. Obviously, they was way far in front of us. I don't think they went to top gear, really. Like the looks of Cohen, Robinson. Thought K-Wall had a bit of a tough time, really. Both goalies, they were given a hard time at the back, but I think come the Elite League, I think we'll be up there, and I think the team looks pretty decent, really.
So the views of the fans there. So thanks very much to everyone who joined in with the Fanzone. It's a new feature that we're having on Cats Whiskers TV this season, and we will be there after every single home game here in the Bunkers Hill. Please come along and give us your views, and that goes to away fans as well. I am now joined by Mr. Aaron Lord and Mr. Balm. Mr. I know.
It's an introduction.
Well, I thought as it's a special alfresco edition, I thought I might give you the Bodge title. But
Give us the respect we finally
due, yeah. Okay, so we've been pretty much humbled this afternoon. I think that stands to that reason. But over the two games, I think there's an awful lot of positives that we can take out for the Nottingham Panthers.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I tweeted out after the first game on Friday night, you know, very, very proud. We stood, you know, shoulder to shoulder with a good European hockey club for 50 minutes. Tiredness set in, and you know, who would have thought after 40 minutes we'd be 2-2 in the Champions Hockey League? And I think probably, you know, 99.9% of the Panthers fans wouldn't have thought so. So that's very, very pleasing. Today, look, at the end of the day, they really are. They're on another level. They're on a Dane Bowers. They really are. They are on another level.
He does the jokes.
To
be fair though, I mean, Lukko were. It was obvious he was the better team on Friday night, but
yeah. Well, no, they for me, they were the better team in the final period. I think over the first two periods, you could say nip and tuck. You know, we didn't really show ourselves to be at the level that a lot of people think we are at, and that is very, very promising going into our league campaign. And I think that, you know, people kind of, and this is with today's result in mind, a lot of people need to kind of put it in perspective. You know, this is Champions Hockey League. This is pre-season for us. You know, the other teams in our league haven't even played a game yet, and we've played pre-season and we're playing Champions Hockey League. A little bit of perspective. Yeah, it's not nice to lose 10-1, but you have to put it into perspective.
Yeah. Paul, your feelings on, well, first on Friday, because I think Friday we really did go for it, and then today, okay, was a little different. But I think first and third periods today, we actually competed with them. It was just that second period blowout, really, that did for us.
I think to make this sort of point across both games is that I think in both games there was a period that we shocked them. Tonight, the first period, Friday, tonight, this afternoon, Friday, that second period where we pulled it back, and you saw in both games there was the step up from them, the step up in class. But you know, there's so much that we can take from it. But you know that especially this afternoon, that would have been a great game to watch if we hadn't been playing in it.
Yeah.
At times, you know, because it's the way both teams pressed, the way that there were shots that in our league nothing will come from them. You know, but all of a sudden, you know, there's like a scramble in the corner. With both teams, the puck suddenly shooting out. You know, the number of times they put the puck, Luleå this afternoon, put the puck across the net. Look, you know, everybody's looking at the player in the centre, but it's actually for the one at the back stick to get the shot away. But I mean, we were taught a lesson, basically, in what, you know, what a budget of 2-3 times what ours is can do. But you know, you just had to be there, and you just had to enjoy it and take the positives from the team. I think, from our performances.
Can I just say that, like when Paul says we were taught a lesson, that's not necessarily in my eyes the Nottingham Panthers were taught a lesson. The Elite League were taught a lesson.
I'm not saying it as a bad thing.
I know. It's a statement of fact. For me, nothing out of this whole Champions Hockey League can be a bad thing.
No. I'd agree with that.
Yes. Losing 10-0 is demoralising on that time, and when you're there, you know, it's not nice when you're sat there in the arena and you see 7, 8. But one thing I must say is, I don't care what anybody says, we were unlucky today. You know, the first goal, the second goal, you know, there were 3 goals that you could scratch off as unlucky.
It could have been closer.
Well, you know, 2 go off the boot, 1 just sort of loops in for some weird reason, you know. Yeah. They're very unlucky goals. Yes, that still doesn't change the result or anything, but you know, it's a wake-up call for the Elite League in the sense of where we are, and you know, if we want to improve, then that's where we need to be.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. We did suffer a bit from. Look, we've suffered again from injuries. Podlesak having to go off. Chris Higgins looks like he's got quite a serious injury, which is going to be a big blow when it comes to the Elite League. But you know what? It was 10-1, but I was still there applauding the Panthers up because we gave it everything. The thing I did like the most was the fact that the players' heads didn't seem to drop, and they still came out that third period, and and they still was giving Luleå a game, and it was okay. 2 late goals took it up to 10-1, but you know, I think if Panthers had scored in that third period, Luleå couldn't have had any complaints at all.
I mean, you knew as soon as they went for 9, they got 9, they'd be pressing for 10, and course, yeah. But because we're all the same, we all want to do that. But you're right. The effort was there all the way through, and that's what's good to see. But I mean, I think more Friday night. I was probably more impressed with our performance Friday night than this afternoon. But you know, we're talking about 3rd, 4th games in what is essentially still pre-season. So to be at that point, the point we were in those games and playing the people we were, I think, you know, you can only take as a positive step forward.
Yeah. Another question I do want to put to you, and this relates more to the Elite League season. Elite League teams are obviously going to be watching both games that we played. I think they're going to have some worries, aren't they, about facing the Panthers, because if we're holding our own in periods against teams from the Finnish Liga and the Swedish Hockey League, you know, what sort of team are we going to have, or what sort of performances are we going to put in against Elite League sides?
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? Isn't it really? I mean, look, at the end of the day, we are still going to have players.
Thank you.
He obviously enjoyed what I said. We're going to have players available from the CHL roster for the Elite League. Are they going to play? Is Corey going to play his supposedly Elite League roster? You know, these are questions that even as Panthers fans, we don't know. So if you're from another club, you know, you're a coach or whatever, you're a fan looking in, nobody really knows at the moment. But, you know, I've been impressed with some people. I think, you know, for me, you know, Evan Mosley, or, you know, he was one person that everybody wrote off before he even put a Panthers jersey on.
He's been excellent.
And he's probably been within the top 3 Panthers player for me these 2 games. And that's what's disappointing. You know, people write players off on forums and this. Give them a chance. You've not even seen them play. And to be honest, I would say, you know, I've not been impressed with some players, but it's 2 games in for what I've seen. You know, yes, I've not been abroad or whatever to Lithuania and stuff, but it's still early. You know, wait until they're in there. But I mean, look, if I was the other Elite League teams, the one thing that I would be concerned about is the fact of how many games we would have played by the time we start our Elite League roster on September the 13th against Cardiff Devils. That is what would worry me. You know, because by then. And this works both ways. If you know, when we go to that game, and we really should be not seamless, but we really should have a very good.
Should be those steps. There should be getting used to each other. You know, the playing it. But I mean, talking about writing things up, and I'm sorry if I've just destroyed your train of thought. I've been hearing reports since the end of the game that people have been writing the game off as a waste of time, as useless. They said it should be free because nobody should have to pay to watch that. You know, well, we're back to the idiots you were talking about last week, aren't we, really?
Can I transfer that, and I'll transfer this? All right. That is idiotic. And do you know what? If you are one of those people that tweeted NP Hockey Live, tweet me a good reason why you want that free. Because I'm sorry, and I'll say this before I say this, but I'm not the most educated hockey person. I've not been watching it for 40 years. You know, I've watched it for what, coming up to maybe 8 years or whatever. But that's idiotic. You do not understand what this whole Champions Hockey League is about. And another thing that I'd like to say, and I'm not going to rant about this, because if you caught me an hour ago, I would have, but other fans from other teams, right? I've seen 2 spectrums tonight about fans from other teams. The same team. One clapped the Panthers, didn't go overboard, which you would expect they wouldn't do, but obviously was here to support the Elite League and the Panthers being an Elite League team. The other person, who wore a cross-check jumper, wore glasses, female, was totally just fully against the Panthers. Whenever, you know, they scored, up, clapping, really making a noise, making a scene. Whenever we miss, up again, clapping, saying we were rubbish. Called a lot of our players crap, said they weren't good enough or whatever. To that woman, I would just like to say thank you very much for your £19 that I hope you did spend onto our club, because you really are small-minded.
And I think we'll leave it there. After the game, just a bit earlier, I got a chance to chat with Premier Sports host Neil the Coach Russell. Here's what he had to say about the weekend. Delighted to welcome to the show Neil the Coach Russell from A View from the Bridge, and also hosting Premier Sports coverage of the Champions Hockey League this weekend. How do you think that went for the Panthers over the both games?
Well, Friday night in particular, I thought the Panthers were superb. Tough opposition in Lukko. You know, the Finnish team, they came in and started the game really, really well. That middle period on Friday night from the Nottingham Panthers was absolutely superb. Those 2 goals from Stevie Lee were absolutely brilliant. I know I got a wee bit excited on commentary, and as a Belfast Giants fan, it didn't go down too well with our faithful back in Belfast.
Really not?
No, it definitely did not, judge it by my Twitter, but you know, it's fantastic to see the Nottingham Panthers entering this competition. Neil Black, Gary Moran, Corey Nielsen, these, especially the owners, have taken a real chance and invested heavily into the Panthers going into the Champions League, and I think it's great to see, Jono.
Looking at today's game, I mean, obviously 10-1 is probably more the sort of scorelines we was expecting. The Panthers may come up against teams like Luleå, but they were quite superb today.
Paul Leary must have said it about 10 times on commentary how special a team Luleå were. Absolutely stacked from top to bottom, with Swedish internationals, some Finnish internationals, top imports as well. Coming at the Abbott twins, I thought were absolutely superb. I know you and I talked last week about the Abbotts. You know, I just thought from top to bottom, their strength was always going to make it a very difficult job for the Panthers. Panthers picked up the injuries, didn't they? And let's be honest, they did. Chris Higgins looks like he's in a spot of bother. Podlasak's picked up an injury. Mark Lee's still not fit to play. You're still waiting on Cody Wilde arriving. So to give yourselves the best possible chance, you really need to have a full strength roster against these teams, and you guys really struggled tonight to get that.
I did feel though that for, I think, first and third periods, Panthers actually did compete with Luleå. It was that the second period definitely killed us, but we showed some quite positive signs. And okay, a 10-1 defeat is pretty heavy, but do you feel that Panthers can compete, or even any elite league team could possibly compete at this sort of level?
I think first and foremost you need to do what you guys have done, and that is invest in an extra 4 or 5 imports. But you need to have all those imports fit and on the ice, not sitting in the stands or sitting back in North America or picking up injuries in the early games like you guys have done. I think it's fantastic, and that an elite league team has entered this competition. My own team, the Belfast Giants, turned down the opportunity. No dates in the Odyssey Arena, and I believe Sheffield may well have turned it down as well. It requires huge investment, and I think you're right tonight. The Nottingham Panthers in that first period, Paul Leary and I were calling it on Premier Sports. I thought Nottingham really stuck with it and had 2 or 3 really good chances on Larson as well, but Luleå's class just shone through in the end.
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us, and good luck for A View from the Bridge for the rest of the season.
Cheers, Jono, and good luck to all the Cats Whiskers, and hope you guys maybe come 2nd or 3rd in the league behind the Belfast Giants.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
thanks to Neil, the coach Russell, there for his views on the weekend.
Looking a little bit pale, I thought, to be honest, the coach.
You did say that to him actually at the time, bless him.
Yeah.
And no cravat.
No scarf.
Well, there you go. It is summer. It is summer. Yeah. Anyway, as we close the show, I'd just like to ask both of you, we've got now 3 weeks until the opening Elite League game against the Cardiff Devils. What would you like to see between now and then, considering that we've got away games against Luleå and Lukko, we've got the tournament in Amiens next weekend.
The Napoleon tournament, where everybody has to play with one arm.
You know, what would you like to see from the Panthers?
A victory somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, because we've got all these games, but if you keep losing, no matter how well you play, you get into, it affects your mentality. So yeah, I'd like to see, but keeping up the quality, the intensity of the play, and nobody else getting injured.
Yeah, I think that's important. Aaron?
Yeah, I was going to say probably injuries would be your first port of call, but sort of a bit of see a few regular lines coming out there, so we kind of get an idea of how Corey is gonna play this team in the Elite League. Just for me, it would be confidence. I want to see more confident play. Yes, I fully agree with you can't lose every game, because it does come to the point where that does damage your confidence. But I'd like players to express themselves. This is the opportunity to express yourself. Show us what you're made of. Show us what you can do. Yeah. And
come on there, John.
Just to warn you, I will have a word with the coach about that, to be honest.
That's Whiskers TV, the only professional online show out there.
No, it's not. It's really not.
He wouldn't do that on Premier Sports, would he?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't do that on Premier Sports.
Lady wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. But no, a bit of confident play moving forward in the process that is pre-season. This is all pre-season for us. So progression. A win would be nice, like Paul would say, but just confident for me.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think build up the fitness. Hopefully, not get any more injuries. Yeah. A win. I think next weekend if we can grab a couple of wins, that'd be great. Just build up the confidence.
And I think looking at the people we're playing, I think it's entirely possible.
Oh, I think a win's around the corner.
Because we've got to go in there and run the full roster.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
Mark Lee might be playing.
Wild might be in.
You never know.
And there's still all the positives we've got to take out of this weekend as well. So I think good times to come. Hopefully, some good times.
I think the future's bright. The future's not orange.
Well, obviously not. No.
And I will put a $5 on it.
Yeah. Well, let's face it.
Well, you'd have bet that $5 he had on us to score first. Friday
I'll tell you what. I'll put £19 on it, because that's the amount of money that certain person that I mentioned earlier paid for.
You heard it here first.
Well, I will think we will leave it there for this week's show.
Probably for the best.
We will be back next week with our season preview, so we'll be looking at all the Elite League teams. But Paul and Aaron will be joining me for that. But thanks for joining us. Thanks to Neil, the coach, Russell, for joining us, and also thanks to all the fans who took part in the Fanzone, who'll be an ongoing feature on this season's Whiskers TV. But until next week, goodbye.